Now, going over to the cultural part podcast, you have Los Angeles burning to the ground, and Apple stores are now being looted, and they're going viral on social media. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, which actually takes a quote from AOC, which they mostly sound mentally vacuous, and this is no outlier from that analysis. Now, AOC says, quote, and again, she's not referencing this video, it's just one of her many quotes that she's known for. AOC says, quote, they feel like they need to steal some bread or else their family will go hungry at night, unquote. And then Wokeness says, Apple says bread? Which no, because if they did, it would be called iBread. It'd probably be $2,000 per loaf and be made in China, so it would probably contain a couple particulates of lead, though I partially digress. It's only about a minute and a half of buffoonery, but let's see what they do. Needless to say, none of these guys are wearing they're not wearing suits, I'll say that much. Do I have to say it? Obviously. They're wearing hoodies. And a rudimentary t-shirt. Phones right off the display. Police are coming, and allegedly they'll do something. Maybe. I don't have to put my hopes too high. Back there. This guy's got black hoodies and jeans. Doing every single iPhone in display. Of course, yeah. They're gonna hurt their Jordans. Do that. Gonna hurt the resale of those Jordans. Fortunately. Ooh, the Porsche EV sedan. The culture of Los Angeles. Moron. So, let me see this last guy. And of course, a fascinating cultural phenomenon in which you have gentlemen wear they have pants and belts. However, they have not yet mastered the utilization of said belt because the plants are clearly falling to the ground. You can see this in real time as this guy rushes to the back of the store. His pants are probably about a solid foot down from his waistline. And he has to actually catch his pants because they're starting to fall down. And you can see that nice iPad brightly turned on for the security cameras to see, yeah, he's for sure got some Apple material there. The culture of Los Angeles. I'm sure they'll be safe and good next year, just like Chicago. Ha ha ha, cultural pun and kind of dark humor because just like the sports ball teams, the Chicago Bears, everyone says they'll be better next year, and history has shown us that no, they in fact shall not. The last time the Bears won the Super Bowl, they stored the photos on a floppy disk, which, if you want to save a document these days, that's actually what the saved icon is based off of, but I partially digress. I can't but think these people should be thrown in jail, obviously after they're given a trial and proven guilty. They're thrown in jail for at least 30 to 40 years, ideally some free or greatly discounted labor so they can contribute something to society, at least break even in terms of the cost of, housing them in the prisons. Now, these people are especially mentally vacuous, also known as moronic, because you're stealing an Apple device, which again, Apple is a tech company, pretty damn smart. They can just break that item. And as soon as Apple has a list of all the serialized phones and iPads and whiz-bangs that have been stolen from the store, they'll just remotely disable them. At which point, you'll just have a bricked, useless piece of hardware, which, considering most of those Apple devices are nowadays glued together, not really too conceivable you'll make much of a profit by trying to salvage some of the individual components if you wanted to go that route. So definitely, as Trump would say, they're not sending the brightest, they're sending the best. As many of the commenters saying that these are a mixture of illegals who are committing the crimes. Now, interestingly enough, they're also wearing all those masks, so you can't see them easily either. And of course, there's no security or anyone stopping them. Now, that got about 250,000 views and 1,000 likes, with one of the first comments coming to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman. Now he says, quote, AOC belongs in the kitchen making sandwiches or doing laundry, getting 1.9 thousand likes, which that might be above her pay grade, because keep in mind, some sandwiches have multiple components. In fact, many of them do. So if AOC was given the task of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you'd have to take the bread out, then you'd have to take the jelly, then the peanut butter, then if you want to be sanitary, 2 utensils, take that, I mean, and then she has to debate, do I, if I cut this in half, does that mean I have 2 sandwiches now? Did I just solve world hunger? I'm not saying she for sure think that, but there's a high propensity that she would have something like that on her mind. You also have Wholesome Trad Post saying, quote, stealing luxury electronics isn't about feeding families, it's lawlessness, getting 6 likes. You get more than that, 7 likes. Israel 70 Sai says, but it's peaceful. And they photoshopped AOC standing on top of the burnt police car holding the Mexican flag, which is a fascinating thing that the people burning down Los Angeles are representative of Mexico. And very, well, if you love that country so much, why don't you go back? You're burning Los Angeles to the ground, which some might argue is a cultural tradition in Los Angeles, but you literally are holding a flag and praising a country where you could just go back down there. I'm pretty sure if you go to the border patrol, just walk to Mexico, I don't even think anyone's going to stop you if you're leaving. Probably. Now, that also got 51 likes. David Santa Clara says, quote, I see 0 Mexicans there. What gives? Getting 106 likes and 7 comments. Now, River Clone says they're looting or liberating MacBooks and iPhones in solidarity with their Mexican hermanos. Viva la libertad de los iPhones. Now, that person got no likes, but it's funny. Well, Dan says they identify as watch, getting 1. Going back to the main comment section. AJ says Apple Bread Store getting 45 likes. Venetian 612 not a game says, quote, don't make fun of AOC, she's devastated. And there's a Photoshop picture of her standing next to an ice machine outside 7-Eleven, and it says, quote, AOC discovers ice detention centers outside every 7-Eleven, getting 1 like. Going down more and more. Crazy Vibes also gives AOC a compliment, says, quote, AOC keeps getting hotter. Getting 2 likes. Going down more and more. And Mirthful Moments saying, quote, AOC is a moron. It has a Mount Moron with Mount Rushmore replaced with the most mentally vacuous of the DNC, which is actually saying something because the bar is low in general. That got 9 likes. Blessed, and Unstoppable says, quote, they just want their Air Jordan sourdough bread. And there's an AI picture of amalgamation between an Air Jordan shoe and a loaf of bread. Getting 4 likes. We also have Rick saying, quote, I never truly understood why people steal products from Apple stores. Furly, Apple just bricks them as soon as they are stolen. Get it? Question mark. Getting 16 likes. Yep, exactly. It's literally basically just trash. Apple's just going to disable it. But again, these aren't the brightest folks out there. We also have Mouse Crackers saying, quote, blow darts, tripwires, demask, indict, prosecute. This will never happen again. And to all you tariff haters, drink is a fancy way of saying theft, tax. You and I will pay for this, getting 5 likes. Which, yeah, I mean, that's also an industry term in terms of, retail theft. That's the fancy term they use. It's called shrinkage. Especially bad in winter, so I'm told. Now, it's also an issue where, yeah, the cost of good. I mean, the cost is also always passed on to the law-abiding citizens, because again, these companies they're not going to go out of business. It's going to increase the cost of other goods sold to make up for the things that were stolen. So yeah, I wish stores actually do more to stop things. And culturally, I think that would help fix our country if we actually prosecuted crime, especially retail theft. It's a multi-billion-dollar a year problem that hurts all of us. And yet, because of insurance companies, most companies won't even prosecute people, let alone have armed guards, let alone even have them interject. Even when I worked in retail as a kid, I remember part of the onboarding training when I was not to brag, but I was a bag boy back in the day at grocery stores. Before you had to check stuff out yourself, we did it for you. But it's the thing where during the onboarding training, I'll never forget, even back then I thought it was morally bad, they instructed us, if you see someone stealing, do not attempt to stop them in any way or confront them in any way, because they're worried about lawsuits, also potentially insulting the customer, and they're worried if we got hurt, well, not our well-being, but if we were to sue the company. So they're worried about the lawsuits. So people ask, why is retail theft such a big thing? It's because insurance companies, they determined they've done some analysis where they thought, well, it's cheaper it's less of an impact to our business if we just allow the theft and we don't have to pay out on lawsuits. Again, I think this is a terrible thing. I think it's a contributing factor of why we have more and more retail theft every year. But unfortunately, I don't see it changing anytime soon unless you have a business that is really, they have vast amounts of resource allocations to fight the lawsuits that could inevitably come. Because again, if these scumbags actually fell and tripped, they'd probably still sue the store. In some cases, they win money. It's ridiculous. Miss Linka White says, Adidas, CVS, and Apple, no bookstores, ? And there's a compilation of all the retail theft. And fascinatingly enough, yep, they never go after bookstores. And when they loot Walmart, funny enough, they never steal the Bible, or books in general, or work boots. Fascinatingly enough, those aisles are very much not really threatened by retail theft, historically speaking. Those video compilations also got 9 likes a year. This is a clip that is credited to freedomnews.tv. I cannot make out the store name there. The police are actually doing something. I'm shocked. Now, Nick also responds saying, quote, at least the bookstores will never be looted, getting 5 likes, which is also sad to think there's realistically one mass bookstore these days, though I rather prefer to actually support mom and pop shops. But yeah, I miss Borders books back in the day, but nowadays the only major retailer I can think of that specializes in books would be Barnes & Noble. And even they sell a lot of tchotchkes to make up for the trend of, book sales going down. But yeah, not too surprised in more retail theft. The quick little funny picture of AOC dressed up as Zorro using AI, thanks credited to Mr. Golden Beacon. They got 3 likes. But yeah, stealing from Apple Store, probably one of the dumbest things someone could do. Again, not only can Apple shut down, that can also track you too. So definitely not the brightest. And let me know in the comments, what do you think the odds are? Do you think these guys will ever be prosecuted, held accountable? And do you think riots and theft will ever be a thing in the past in LA? Historically speaking, I don't see the trend turn around anytime soon, even with the National Guard, Marines being called in. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. And lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.